Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lysha from Lysha Be Creative, and today I'm going to show you these cute, quick, last minute teacher gifts that I made for the end of the school year. Let's get into it. Alright, so welcome back my creative cuties. So I got I know what they are. I got these staplers. They're Amazon basic staplers from, guess, Amazon. So it comes in a 3-pack. Unfortunately, when I purchased them, the 3-pack was sold out. So I ended up having to purchase the single ones. It is cheaper to buy it in the 3-pack, but it wasn't too crazy expensive for the singly. But I thought that this would be so cute, as I know I've seen this trend going around the Tumblr community, making these cute little staplers as well as the dry board erasers as well. So I thought I'd take my kind of stab at it, if you will. So I'm showing you the way you don't take the stapler apart. So when you take it out of the box, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of was like, how the heck am I gonna get this like top piece off? Like, I knew that it had to have come undone, but I struggled for a good minute. So that's me struggling. But now let's get into how you really should disassemble these. Okay, so here's how you really should assemble them, or disassemble them rather. So after taking them out of the package, it's super simple. All you need to do is push down on the piece that is connected to the top of the stapler, and then push that little like metal piece out of the way, and that top piece will just pop right off. Much simpler than the way I did it originally. So definitely don't do what I did. So what you're going to do next is we are going to get these prepped. So of course I'm going to sand them and get them cleaned up with a little bit of 91% alcohol after I get them all disassembled. And I'm also going to show you what I do with the arms of my turner. So I have, I believe these are 1/2-inch pipes. I have a Dino's tumbler turner that I used for my stapler tops. And so what I did was I just took a little bit of some duct tape and some painter's tape and just wrapped it so that it was thick enough to fit in the kind of crevice of the stapler top. So that sort of worked for me. I did have to apply a little bit of extra tape to get it to stick on the inside of the stapler so that when it was spinning, even though I was using a fast setting epoxy, that it didn't fall off. I had one fall off, so I learned my lesson, and that was the hard way to learn it. So definitely make sure they're super secure. You could also use UV resin, and I am going to use UV resin for the first layer of glitter, but for the subsequent coats and all the way up through the end of the process of the staplers, I'm going to use regular fast set epoxy. And this is how I was able to get both things done so quickly, because I was working at these simultaneously. So when I was done, I got the little metal pieces all taped off and then took them outside to do a flat white spray paint over top of all of those stapler covers. So now we're going to move into the dry board erasers. And so these I grabbed, again, also from Amazon. I think it came in a pack of 6, which was perfect because that was the exact amount of teachers that I needed to make these for. So it was just perfect timing. So we're going to get these prepped very similarly to how we prepped the staplers. So I'm going to tape off the wood part along the sides, because I'm only going to be applying glitter to the top portion. So like that flat surface only. I'm not going to apply it to like the different ribs on the side. I'm not going to carry the resin down that far because I'm going to be using UV resin. And UV resin for me, I can never quite get it to be super smooth around like the curves or the edge of something. So I like to only use UV resin if what I'm going to be applying it to is going to be a flat surface, or if it's just to kind of do something super quick with like applying a coat of glitter. So I'm going to get these all sanded, and I'm of course going to wipe them off with a little 91% alcohol, and now it's time to get them base painted. So I'm going to base paint these with a chalk paint that I purchased from Hobby Lobby recently. I just have been looking to grab some paints and things to use while I'm inside. Although the temperature outside has been ideal, it has been quite rainy, and so I've been testing out and trying different chalk paints and things that I like. That way, in the event that I can't go outside to base paint something, I have an alternative to use inside. So this worked really well. I am only going to do 1 coat. You could certainly do 2 coats or do 1 coat of the chalk white and then do kind of a base color that matches your glitter as a second coat. I decided to take the risk because I was in a pinch anyway to go ahead and just do 1 coat of the white, which seemed to hold up. I didn't have any issues, especially when you are looking at the glittered ones. I really didn't have any issues seeing anything through. You see a little bit of like the chalk white paint along the very edges, but I don't think it's anything that stands out super crazy that would certainly make me not want to give these out as gifts. So I'm gonna get those base painted, let those dry, and then of course we're gonna get into applying the UV resin to these. So I'm gonna be using Mama Boss Glitter UV resin today, just like I did in my last tutorial for the little keychains and car coasters that I created. And so literally what I'm going to do is put a little bit of this UV resin into a medicine cup. I think I used probably about 7.5 mLs, I think was what I filled it up to. And then I'm going to pour some glitter into the medicine cup just to cover the top, just like I've done when it comes to doing little keychain blanks and things, and then stir that up and pour that directly on top. So I'm using a lot of different colors, which I will link down in the description box, all the glitters that I used today. This one is Glitter Bestie. I don't show you the process of me doing this for all of them. It's going to be kind of a time lapse, if you will, of watching all of these cure, because it would be painful to sit here and watch me do this for like 10 to 15 minutes of just going back and forth. So get that nice thin layer all spread out along the top of that, put it under the light, and I put it under the light for 120 seconds, and that seemed to be the perfect amount of time to get all of the UV resin to cure, and it was pretty smooth. I do go over it with a clear coat of UV resin after I've done all of the glitter, and then that's pretty much smooth enough for me to then go in to add my decals, etc. So this next one is Spiffy. This is from 4K Glitter. This is from Vinyl Gallery. I have a discount code for them down in the description box. I love this color. This is one of the colors that I need to make sure that my husband buries me with, because it is absolutely beautiful. It is the most gorgeous pink I've ever seen. So I'm just going to spread that on a nice thin layer again, all the way from edge to edge of my dry board eraser here, and kind of get this all smoothed out and put under the UV lamp. So this process took me probably about anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes for the dry erasers, and this was just for like the first and second coat, right? So the glitter coat, which had the first layer of UV resin and then one layer of clear UV resin over top, before I was able to then get my decals cut and apply decals. So it really was super quick to be able to do this UV resin wise. I thought about doing UV resin for the staplers, but I knew I wasn't going to have enough of my UV resin in order to be able to do the stapler covers as well. So I am glad that I decided to go in and use the regular fast setting epoxy to be able to try and get these done simultaneously. So all of my, I should say, dry erasers are nice and cured and just waiting. While I'm waiting for those to be ready to have their decals applied, I'm just going to base paint my stapler covers. I decided to do this since I didn't do that on the dry board erasers. Completely up to you, as I mentioned, but I'm just base painting them to be a similar color to the glitter that I'm going to be using. And so I'm just going to dry those, let that layer of paint dry. I only did one coat over the white spray paint, and then we can get into applying the glitters on top of the staplers. Okay, so now on to glittering my stapler covers. So I just have they're all base painted, everything's dry. I'm now just gonna add a super thin layer of my UV resin, and I'm just going to spread that along the cover with my gloved finger, just a super thin coat, very similar to what you'd use when doing epoxy method for a tumbler. So probably maybe 2 mLs. I really didn't even need as much as I had on here, and I wiped quite a bit off before I went to apply the glitter. But just a super thin coat, making sure to get edge to edge where all that colored paint is, and then I'm going to apply my glitter. So the glitter I'm going to be using today is Vervain for this purple. Again, all the glitters will be listed and linked down in the description box, so don't feel like you have to write them down. Of course, I'll have everything linked to be able to get right to those. So I'm going to add Vervain to this, making sure to get a really good coverage of this glitter over top of the UV resin here. I'm also trying to be super careful to make sure that I don't get any UV resin anywhere other than on the top portion of the stapler cover, which proved to be a little bit difficult. Kind of wish I would have figured out to keep it on like my tumbler arms instead of struggling with this. But anyway, after I've gotten the glitter applied, I'm just going to put it under my lamp for 2 minutes. So I did 2 minutes on the top, and then I did about 60 seconds on either side. So I wanted to make sure that that layer of UV resin was really cured through and through, because I knew I was going to be going on top with regular fast setting epoxy, and I wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be any issues with that. So 2 minutes, 120 seconds for the, top down, and then I tilted it from side to side for about another 30 to 60 seconds to make sure everything was cured. So once this is fully cured, I'm just going to take it out from under the UV lamp and just brush off any excess glitter that may not have stuck. And then I'm going to repeat the same process for all the other stapler covers. So once I've gotten them all base glittered and they're all cured, I'm going to put them on my cup arms on my turner, and I'm going to let them spin with first and second coat. So I did about 5 ml on each stapler cover. I did 4 of them at a time. I did 2 coats of that, so it took about 10 ml to get them smooth before I could apply my decals. While those are on the turner spinning, I am going to do kind of like rushed coats. So with my fastening epoxy, I use KS resin liquidy split. I can apply another coat of epoxy after 2 hours, and that's exactly what I did with my with my stapler covers. I don't even know what tutorial I'm doing. But while I'm waiting for that, I've already cut the decals for my erasers. And so I got this A+ teacher decal and SVG from Creative Fabrica. I have a link down in the description box that I encourage you to use. It gets you $1 access for everything on the website, and that includes fonts, SVGs, graphics, anything you can think of for just $1, and it comes with a commercial license. So I definitely encourage you to check that out. If you choose to stay on, your next month renews at $19, but even if you only stay on for that first month and take advantage of the $1, you definitely get so many things on Creative Fabrica, and that has been kind of my go-to over Etsy for quite a few of my cup tutorials and anything that I've been doing recently. So I am just going to quickly sand like the edges of the erasers just to make sure there aren't any glitter pieces sticking up and poking out. So making sure that the layer of UV resin that I put over top of the decals is going to be the last and final layer that I'll have to do, and these will be ready to go. So I'm just going to get all of the decals applied to the little erasers here. I've cut this with my Cricut. This is just like a matte white vinyl. I think it's Sizer vinyl. Super quick and easy. Didn't take me too long to get this cut on my Cricut because my Cricut decided to cooperate today. But I'm just going to finish getting all of these decals applied, and then of course we're going to move into doing the final coats of our UV resin to get these at least finished before we can finish up our staplers. So as I mentioned, one final coat of UV resin over top. I just kind of squeezed like a quarter size of UV resin over the decal and just spread that edge to edge, making sure that I was going to cover the entire top of that eraser before I put it under the lamp to cure for 120 seconds. So I just repeated this process for the rest of the erasers, and these were literally done. So all in all, this probably took me from start to finish, if I had just started with the erasers only, it probably took me a total of 30 minutes maybe, and that is with the timing that I needed to be able to cut the decals as well. You obviously could cut that time down if you already had your decals cut and you literally just had everything ready to go. You could probably get these done in a matter of 20 minutes, 6 to 8 of them. So this was super quick and super easy, but just going to finish these up, and let's go ahead and head back over to our staplers and see how those are going. So I did want to hop and show you this one. So this one was base painted with just white spray paint, and then I put 2 coats of epoxy. This was for a male teacher that one of my boys had, and so I obviously didn't want to do glitter, although he probably would have totally been fine with it anyway. But I decided to do alcohol inks, so I just picked up a couple of alcohol inks out of my stash of alcohol inks. These are both, one's Ranger and the other one I believe is Tim Holtz, I want to say. But I will link them down in the description box, the 2 colors that I use. I just did a blue and green, real super simple, nothing too crazy, but I did do the 2 layers of epoxy over top of the flat white spray paint initially, then went in with another coat of spray paint over top of that to be able to get the decals done, or to get the alcohol ink on top of that, if that makes sense. So hopefully that makes sense. So while I am waiting for that to dry, I'm now just going to do the decals for the names on top of the stapler. So these staplers have gotten 2 coats of epoxy, about 10 to 15-ish mLs of epoxy on them in total. I then am just going to, I've already cut out the font, or cut out the names for each of the staplers, and I'm just going to apply those. So this font is a font that I got from Creative Fabrica. Definitely make sure to check out the description as I have listed that down there. And then this is the shot of these on their final coat of epoxy, ready to go to teachers in the morning. So super simple. I let them cure overnight. So they were fully cure and hard. And this was kind of my setup. It worked, and I think that these were a success. So as soon as I am finished with those spinning, of course, now that everything is cured, I have to assemble all these back together. So again, really pretty simple. You just snap the back piece back on. It has like a little bar and 2 like holes. I'm sure you guys have all seen that. Kind of a little bit up close. I'm a little close to the camera today so you guys can see that. So I just snapped the back on. I struggled clearly. And then you just lift that top piece up and you do the exact same thing. So push that all the way down until that metal piece snaps and it's right back together. So that was all that I needed to do, and that was just kind of the assembly process. And then I just put all of the pieces together that I was gifting to the teachers, and then they were off to their happy homes. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, definitely make sure to give this video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I upload videos every Tuesday and Saturday, and you do not want to miss my future tutorials. So I'll see you guys again soon. Bye!